Beat ya.
I'm going to beat you later.
That's weird.
Welcome to House Parties.
Yes.
I'd like to start off with a little bit of violence.
Right, me
No
and
slaps,
Will
though.
Smith.
No slaps here. You hear he left the academy,
Yep.
lost some movie roles.
Yep.
It kind of feels like people are overreacting a
Yeah,
little bit now.
I don't care anymore. It's okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey guys, we are so excited you guys are here.
Yeah.
Today is April something. I don't know. We're filming a couple weeks early. 'cause
Right.
The church is getting a new sound system in, and so we had to come in early.
They don't care about that.
You guys don't care. Although, if they go into worship on weekends, they will. Because apparently a better sound system sounds better.
Yeah, that will be interesting to see what kind of a difference it makes.
I probably won't notice at all.
So wasn't student night great?
It was amazing.
It was so good.
We are manifesting it right now.
was
We're
awesome.
speaking it into existence.
We're recording this before
but in all
night.
seriousness, guys, like we love gathering with you guys on
Yep.
nights like that where we can worship, we can have fun, we can eat food. So just always want to remind you guys, like, these are great opportunities to bring your friends. And so be thinking about this next one we have on May 4th. If you got a friend who you want to get connected to church, it's a really great opportunity.
Yep.
And we feed you really good food. So
Yep.
there's that. Hey, so got a couple quick announcements before we dive in to some stuff. Obviously, mission trip.
Yeah.
It is officially less than 10
Oh.
spots that are available. And so if you guys want to go on that, please sign up quickly. We do have financial aid available.
Yep.
But we got to start doing some training and paperwork and all that kind of stuff soon. So get signed up.
Yep.
Summer calendars are going to be in the process of being made soon.
Cool.
I'm just waiting on confirmation of our final date.
That's awesome.
Which is going to be a bonfire over at Sealy Lake again,
Yep.
which is fantastic.
Yep.
But look out for those. We got a lot of fun stuff planned
gonna
for
be
you
a
guys.
fun
We also
summer.
we got a Rockies game coming up in May.
Yeah.
About a
Was it
month and a half
May
away.
25th or something?
No. May 25th is when we're taking the new
Oh,
7th
yeah,
graders out
it's-
doing laser tag.
Is it the 21st? It's a
Yep.
Saturday, right?
Yeah.
May 21st. That'll be
Right when
fun.
you guys get out of school. So get signed up for that if you
Oh,
guys want to go.
yeah.
Spots are very limited for this one. So having said that, let's do some slices.
Okay. I'm excited about mine.
Are you?
Yeah.
I'm
so-
a little appalled about mine.
Well, you go first, and then we'll
No.
end on
I
a
like
high
when
note.
you go first.
No, but if yours is a downer,
Okay, it's not a downer. It's just more of
you
like
go
a
first. You
All
go.
right. So do you know what an NFT is?
Oh no.
It's a
already a
non-
downer. Okay.
It's a non-fungible token, right?
Right.
Basically, people can buy images online
Yep.
that people have created. Like, it's stupid. Like, people have paid like hundreds of millions of dollars
Yeah.
for like pictures of rocks. Like, it's I don't get it. It's the stupidest thing in the
It's
world.
really dumb.
Well, leave it up to Christian culture
Oh,
to step
no.
in. Maybe 6 months too late. There is a company, and it's called Eternal Prayer,
Oh no.
that has said for $19.99 they will create an NFT of your 250 word limit prayer that will exist in memoriam.
Okay.
And they had a Easter promo going on. What was the Easter promo? I think it was let me find it here. It's pray to Jesus, like number 2. If you wanted to get like 30% off, but like I don't even like when it said who gets the money from this thing, it just said a Christian organization. So I guarantee you, it's probably the Russians actually who made this. There's some guy sitting in a basement who said, "Hey, what can I create like a total ripoff of just to collect money from unsuspecting Christians who could pray to God for totally free on their own, but no, they've got to create an NFT prayer." Anyways,
I'm glad you went first.
I know. I saw that and I saw your reaction was my reaction.
Yeah. Okay. I heard about this school that had picture day. And this photographer uses a green screen in the background. So
Kind
they-
of like this, but green.
Yeah, so they can put like different images and stuff. Like after the picture is taken, they put it in there. Except picture day was on St. Patrick's Day. And so all these kids were wearing green. And so there's all these pictures of kids like floating heads and arms and legs because they imposed the picture on their shirts. So it's like this farm field and like this kid's head in the middle of a farm field and like
So did the photographer not realize this when he was taking the pictures? Like,
No.
hey, maybe I should put like white behind them.
No, I think green was his only option. Like, but yeah, And so parents got all these like weird pictures of their
Do you have any of the
children.
pictures?
Not handy right now, but I can
you send them to me,
yes.
and then I'm gonna have them pop up here on the screen because that.
Yep.
Oh man,
I know, it was so good.
I wish picture days were more fun like that.
Yep.
Like, who cares about a kid just sitting there going? I mean, it's really cute. Like my kids
do.
do. I love it. I'm telling you, I love it. Like it's great. They end up on the fridge. Send them out to family. But I wish they did like 2 shoots. Like there's that one, and then there's the ones like the dads really want, where it's like your kid in like a jail cell or like in a spaceship flying to the moon.
Okay.
There's so many things you could do.
Jail cell.
I don't. I got 5 kids, man.
And what? You want one of them to go to jail?
Not real prison, just like if I had a jail cell at my house for timeout,
Oh my gosh.
I might utilize it.
Okay.
Don't report me to CPS, guys.
We started with the threat of violence.
And now we're talking about
No.
putting little kids in jail.
Okay.
All right, well, Stetson.
We better read the Bible.
Why don't you introduce a little bit of where we are?
Yeah, for sure. If you've been gone for a while, welcome back.
Welcome.
Yeah, seriously. And what we're doing is we're looking at the book of the Bible. It's called 1 Timothy. It was the first letter that we have that a guy named Paul wrote to a guy named Timothy. There's a whole context there. But what we're really doing is we're just taking a fresh look at it and letting you guys read it and asking questions, because the Bible can feel really intimidating.
Yep.
And for someone who's never like opened it up before, it could be like, I don't even know how. But when we actually do it, we find out how easy it is.
Yeah.
And you also find out how brilliant you are. Like every single week, the students in my group are just making these phenomenal observations and asking questions that I would never think of or think to ask. And I learn a lot. And so, yeah. Cool.
Yeah, it's been good stuff. So we've done the first 4 chapters so far.
Yep.
All right, and we're just kind of walking through.
Yep.
Stetson and I, we talk about some things that are interesting to us.
Yep.
And the goal isn't really that like we teach it.
Right.
Right. It's actually just to say, hey, here's this thing.
Yep.
And we look at it, and then you guys in your house parties get to look at it as well.
Yep.
So chapter 5, man.
Yeah.
It's probably the longest chapter actually in the book.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
And there's a lot of really good stuff in there. Mind if I dive in first?
Do it. You got
All
it.
right. So one of the things that I've noticed about like our culture today is like we worship youth, right? We do.
Yep.
If you look at like social media, if you look at movies, if you look at all this kind of stuff, like the common thought process is like old people are dumb, old people are stupid, they've ruined the world. We don't need to respect them.
Yep.
Right. And like for so many reasons, I think that's like really, really problematic, especially when we come to some of the things that Paul's talking about with Timothy here. Right now, remember, Timothy's a really young guy, right? Like he's maybe 19, 20, 22. Like we don't know exactly what he is, but like he's not that much older than you. And he's in this church, he's in this culture where there's a lot of older people. Now he's also a part of the Greco-Roman world. Now the Greco-Roman world, it was very different than like the Jewish world, right? In the Jewish world, people honored older people. They loved older people. And for the most part in the Greek world, like they kind of worshipped youth too, right? Like when you look at all the statues, it's always of young people. Like that was the epitome of beauty. And so when Paul is writing to Timothy, and you guys can read this if you guys want, it's like the first 16 verses, but like one of the things that he's hammering in to these to this young leader, but also to like everyone who's part of that church is like, look, don't listen to the world in the terms of like the way that they treat people. Don't take your cues and your guidance for how you're going to treat like older men and older women from the world around you. Instead, like go with what God has actually really kind of laid out in the Old Testament, right? Remember this is like a Jewish, Paul's Jewish, and so he understands that deeply, and he's calling people like honor these people. Right? Like realize that the people who are older than you, they've got a little bit more life experience, and that's something you can actually learn from. You can glean wisdom from that, right? They can actually give you guidance, right? Me and Stetson, like we're older than you. Like probably means like we've walked through a lot of the things. Your house party leaders are older than you. Instead of us just being seen as like dumb how to touch people, which happens. I remember what it was like to be in high school. It's like, no, like that we're around so you can learn.
Yeah.
And again, like I don't want to go too much into the detail. Like I wanted to give like a really big picture view of that because like honestly, like he literally spends like 16 verses talking about this. And I'm sure you've got some specifics, but like I just get so struck by that because that's such a countercultural narrative to what we hear today, where it's like, no, don't listen to old people. They don't know what they're talking about. And Paul's like, no, like they really do. Like treat them with reverence.
Yeah. Yeah. And he mentions young people too. Like, says, don't rebuke an older man, but encourage him as you would a father. Younger men as brothers, older men as mothers, younger women as sisters. So it's just mutual respect all around. And I'll just throw out the question, like, what could happen to our relationships if we tried doing this? And I think some good stuff would happen. I really like how it's talking about widows.
Oh, that's such a good part.
And like the values that they have here too. Like, okay, right off the bat, the Message translation of this was so helpful to me.
Yeah.
So I would seriously recommend reading this at least once in the Message translation, and I bet you'll be like, oh, like this is what it's talking about. But they just prioritize the value of family so much. Where basically it's like, do you have people in your family who need help? Help them. But if someone is alone and without a family, that's where the church comes in. Because
be a family.
Yeah,
for
the
them.
church is a family. And I hope you feel that way about your house party, like to some degree, not like we're on the same level as like your sibling. Well, we're probably above the level of their siblings, but like
depending on who their siblings
yeah,
are.
right, for sure. But like hopefully stuff is happening in house parties that feel like family, and that's because that's what the church is supposed to be. That's when groups of people who love Jesus come together. That's what it feels like. And then towards the end, it talks about kind of pastors. It doesn't use the word pastor, but translating it in today's context, it is pastors. I love how it talks about, like, yeah, pastors deserve honor for what they're doing. And I'm not throwing that out there for Nathan and I, but more to follow it up with, it says, but you shouldn't turn a blind eye away from them when they've harmed somebody else. And the things that we read in the news about just like pastors doing
so
terrible things behind the scenes and stuff, it's like, I don't know if this is necessary, but just so you know, like me and Nathan, we don't advocate for that at all. We think it's disgusting and heartbreaking when like people who are supposed to represent Jesus are doing things in secret that are just like ruining people's lives. That's terrible. And it's cool that the Bible backs that up of just like, look, don't give any special treatment to people just because they're in a position of leadership in the church.
Well, yeah, and I mean, like if you were to sum up like everything Paul writes about here, whether it's about the widows or the old men or the young men, the old women, it's like, man, we need to treat people with honor, with dignity, with respect, but at the same time, like, we don't turn a blind eye, right? Like, so even in that part about the widows, right? You know, obviously if there's a widow without a family, you take care of her, you step in, you become that family. But he even has a piece in there where it's like, hey, but like if there's a younger widow, like she doesn't just get to go into a life of luxury now and be lazy and mooch off other people. It's like, no. Like, so you don't just give people a pass because, well, you're a widow, therefore you're whatever, right? You're good. Just be lazy. We'll provide for you. It's like, no, like you can get married again. Like, you know, there's some other, you're young enough to actually still live life. Same thing, like you said, for pastors, like, yeah, honor, but if they're acting crazy and doing stuff they shouldn't be doing, like call that out. Like, and I don't like, I read this and not that it's like concerning, but it's always this thing for me. It's like, man, like, am I fully submitting myself to what God has called me to do? Because there's other parts where Paul talks about this. Is like, hey, like we're actually going to be judged harsher, right? Like, and that's a real scary thing where it's like, hey, those who teach, like, guess what? If you're going to teach this standard, guess who's going to get held to that standard? And it's, I don't know, that's just like a really humbling thing for me to sit and wrestle with. Now, there's one other thing I think is really, really
throw it out there.
Interesting. So it's verses 24 to 25. This comes out of the ESV. So it says, the sins of some people are conspicuous, going before them to judgment, but the sins of others appear later. Right? So obviously it's talking about sin, right? You know, we can all see sin, that kind of stuff. And then he closes by saying this, so also good works are conspicuous, and even those that are not cannot remain hidden. And so I think about this, right? You know, there are some people who are known by the bad that they do. All right, so those pastors you talked about, other individuals, maybe it's a politician, maybe it's an actor, maybe it's a celeb, like it could be anybody, right? We see these things and we can make assumptions and judgments.
Yep.
But the same thing is true on the flip side.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I think about the early church. Big part of the reason that they grew so rapidly, it's because they did exactly what Paul wrote about here in 1 Timothy 5.
Yep.
Right? I think it was Pliny the Younger, which you guys don't even care about. He's some Roman leader who hated the church. But he once said this. He's like, these godless heathen pagans, because that's what they believed them to be, because they didn't believe in the Roman pantheon. He's like, not only do they care for their own sick and poor, they care for ours too.
Yep.
Right? So Christianity literally spread because of the way this early church treated one another like family, the way they loved each other.
Yep.
And so I think it'd be fun for you guys to talk about, like, what does this look like in your house party?
Yeah.
Right? What does this look like in our student ministry, in our church, right? You know, if we're going to treat each other like family, what does that mean?
Yep.
Right? And maybe you have a bad family, right? Maybe you don't know what a good family is like.
Yeah.
What do you take from that?
Yeah.
Be like, well, you know, in my family, we always talk bad about each other. Well, does that sound like the family God's calling us to? Or maybe in your family, you always talk good about each other. It's like, all right, so like, how do we do that here? But I think there's a lot of directions they could go in these discussion times, and we don't want to set it up too much for you guys, but you guys can really go down any rabbit trail.
Yeah. I think there's a lot in here you're going to enjoy.
Yeah. It'll be really good.
Cool.
All right. Well, enjoy. We'll see you guys next week.